It's day 4, and look at this happy little jar starter. He's looking bubbly and alive and active, and today we're gonna do just like we did the other day. We're gonna discard and we're gonna feed him. Okay, so today I'm gonna dig into it with the camera on in here so you can kind of see what we've got happening in here. And yesterday I said it's gonna look like melted marshmallows, melted cheese, kind of consistency and texture, which is kind of what we have here. If you remember how thick it was and like how it was a rough, shaggy, sticky mass after we mixed it yesterday, now it's, it's starting to break down and it's become, a little bit more soupy, kind of elastic too. I mean, the gluten is definitely doing something in the flour. All right, let's discard and feed. Okay, so since yesterday, over the course of 24 hours, I took some pictures, made a video. I didn't mark the level that it rose to with the rubber band because it just seemed like real steady and stable today, or over the last 24 hours. But if you look at the jar next to it in this picture, so you see the jar that has the green rubber band, that big jar full of starter, that's my regular starter. And it is 12 years old. I've had this guy for a long time. It's traveled all over the country. And you can see I marked this with a rubber band because I knew that this would peak and recede. So you can kind of see like this high water line of starter where the rubber band is. So this guy made it up to there and now it's receding back down. This is actually 50 grams of starter that I fed. I fed it 75 and 75, so a 1 to 1.5 to 1.5 ratio. And just to kind of demonstrate like peak, receding, collapsing. Just to give you a visual there. Because eventually that's going to be something that you will see happen. And we want to become aware of behavior and how the starter behaves over time, how it behaves with temperature, temperature water, temperature environment, get to know it. So what are we doing today? We're doing the same thing as yesterday. We're going to discard, we're going to feed in water and bread flour in the same ratios. So we're going to take this down to 50 grams. And then we're going to feed it water and 50 grams of flour. Let's see, do I want to know what it weighs? I mean, it should weigh 580, right? Because my jar weighs 430. We established that on day 1. Oh, I already zeroed it out. Okay, so 579. There's probably a gram right there. I just gave up a gram. So into the bowl, paper towel discard method makes cleanup easier. And we're trying to bring this down to the weight of my jar, 430 plus 50. So what are we shooting for? 480. Let's see what I got here. 490, I'm close. 484, I'm good with a couple grams, but 4 is a few too many for me. And 482, that'll work. So I've got 52 grams of starter in the jar. And if you feel like so I'm talking about being aware of things, like even just the consistency of the starter that you're discarding. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? It's what's coming next, right? I want to smell it and see how it's different today. And it is. I wouldn't say that it smells super sour, but it definitely is starting to have a little bit of an acidic kind of edge to it. Starter's sticky. But it smells neutral and it smells pleasant. And then color's another thing. So it looks kind of like the color that you'd expect flour and water to look like. If it were to start to get discolored, maybe yellow, or if you have any black stuff growing on the surface, you would know that there's some kind of contamination has happened over the last 24 hours or whatever. So scraping down the jar because I want to make sure all the starter is at the bottom of the jar. So when we mix the water, pre-measured, 50 grams of starter, 50 grams of water, we're going 1 to 1 to 1 spoon, ice cream spoon. And this mixes up real easy. You really shouldn't have to fight with it. And remember, just like I was saying yesterday, I like to go starter into solution because it ensures that the starter gets thoroughly distributed everywhere. And then it makes mixing all these ingredients easier. And here's my 50 grams of bread flour. And we're just mixing this together. And you know, before we started this, when we were just looking in the jar and it was all smooth and elastic and kind of gluey, here we are back to thick, sticky mass again. And I'm just getting into the corners, make sure there's no puddles, no flour chunks. Just thoroughly combined. And this is it. Look, that was easy. This is like the short video. So today, beginning of day 4, this feeding is gonna stay the same for the next day 5, day 6, and then day 7 it's different. So for the next 2 days, not much is gonna change here. So scrape down the jar. Pretty amazing, magical little process, right? Just a few days ago, we had flour and water, and now I've got all this activity happening where it's, you know, growing in the jar and producing carbon dioxide. It's alive, and that is good. Oh. All right, so lid on loose. We're going on towel, counter out of the way, somewhere safe, and I'll see you in 24 hours, and we'll take a look at what this guy did over the last 24 hours when we get to tomorrow, if that makes sense. I'll see you on day 5.